If you want to do any kind of Minecraft 3D rendering or animation, you'll probably need a way to convert your world into a 3D model. I mean, you could build it block by block in your software, but who wants to do that? Now there are a couple key methods to turn a Minecraft world into a model, including Mineways or similar programs, which can export a region of a Java Edition world as an OBJ model with individual objects and materials for each block, Minimator, an animation software specifically designed for Minecraft that can open worlds directly, and lastly, the one I'll be covering today, structure blocks. This method is probably the easiest, since it's a feature directly in vanilla Minecraft, without the need for third-party software. And because it's a native feature, you can even convert worlds with texture packs or custom blocks. But it also has its disadvantages. For one, the 3D export option in structure blocks is only available on Windows Bedrock Edition, although there are ways to do it on mobile, such as with Education Edition. To make it easier for mobile users, however, we offer a service in my Discord server where we convert mcstructures to 3D model exports. Unfortunately, chunks are also grouped into single objects, so you can't edit individual blocks. The format structure blocks export in is called GLB, also equivalent to GLTF, a type of 3D model file that embeds or combines textures, geometry, and materials into a single file. Once you have this file, you can easily import it into applications like Blender on PC or Nomad Sculpt on mobile. I won't show how to render these models in this video, but likely in future episodes of this series. Now let's jump into Minecraft and see how these structure blocks work. Okay, so the first step is to open up Minecraft and just go into a world that has the structure you want to export. I'm going to be using a Skywars map that I built a while ago as an example, and I'm going to start with trying to export this spawn island here. So this island's pretty big, and basically a structure block is like a command block, so you need to use the /give command to get it. So I'm going to do /give @s, which is myself, structure block. And then once you have it, you can place it down, and it will show this boundary here. This is what the structure block is currently selecting. So if you export it as a model, this is what it will export. In order to change the settings of it, you want to right-click it, and this will let you adjust it and interact with the options. So starting off with the mode here, there are four different modes, but you only really need to worry about 3 of them. I'm not sure what corner does exactly. The default one is save, and this one will let you save a structure either within the world itself or export it as a mcstructure. And a mcstructure is something that it's like a Minecraft world almost, but it's only part of a Minecraft world. So you can only import it into a Minecraft world. Most applications won't be able to open that or use that in a useful way. So we will use that though, because if we want to edit the properties of the structure block later. But initially, let's just start with the 3D export option, because this is the one that is going to allow us to export it as a GLB model, which then we can open in other 3D rendering and animation software. So you can see here there's nothing currently in this selection because it's just void. But if we want to resize this so that it's larger and we can actually get our island in it, we need to adjust the size options here. So the X corresponds to the X-axis, which is in red, Y is the Y-axis, and then Z is the other horizontal axis. And you can see if we disable show outline, it won't show up over here. But we want to be able to see that so we can see how close it is to the rest of the island. So my island's about 36 by 64 by 36. 26, 36. So you can see that encompasses the whole island now. If you want to adjust the offset of it, you can. This basically just either shifts it in either of the axes directions. And now I'm not including the structure block, which is a good idea. And that is the the island here as a structure in this structure block. And if you go out of the structure block, you can see the lines will go around the entire island, all the way up to the top. So if I want to just export this as a 3D model now, all I need to do is, there's nothing else you have to change here, and you just have to press export. And now it will save your structure as a GLB model, which is what you want. So I'm just gonna name this Spawn Island. Export. So that is the first step. One thing to note is that it will only export blocks. It won't export entities. So if you have like a cow here, it will not include that cow in your model. Sorry. But it will include things like grass and ferns. Those are still considered blocks. It will sometimes render them in a weird way where it only shows one side of that. But it will still show it, it'll still be part of the file. There's also a weird thing that happens with the color maps sometimes. I can show you that later, but you might want to avoid using grass whenever possible, so you might just want to like replace the grass with like green concrete powder or something. That's what I do sometimes. Because the it'll turn gray where it goes next to other blocks. But apart from that, the other thing you want to keep in mind is that sometimes when you adjust the boundary of the structure block, if you have it too close to the structure itself, like let's say I make this offset 8 and move it closer, it does this thing where the texture doesn't export properly. So as you can see, this is what it will look like when you export it and then open it as a GLB in another application. It'll have this missing transparent texture on this side, which is really not what you want. But to avoid that, you really just have to make sure it stays away from the structure itself. That tends to only happen on the sides that are near the origin, so on like the red, green, and blue line sides. If you go the other way, and you make this like -8, or even more to show it, it cuts it off in a way that is clean. So if you ever want to get a cross section, you should make sure to do it on this side of the boundary. Or if it's further enough away from the block, sometimes it won't affect that either. It's kind of weird how that works. Okay, so then, and then the last thing to note with this default structure block is its maximum size is 64 by 64 by 64. So this is the maximum size you can do by default, and if you try to go more than that, like 124, it will just reset it to 64. There is a way to get around this though, and I'm going to show that in a bit. But as you can see, like if I wanted to export my whole map here, I would not be able to do that with a default structure block, because it's just not big enough. So if we want to extend the range now, what we can do is we need to know the size of the map as a whole, because we're going to edit the property of one of those structure blocks. So if I just look at my coordinates, I'm at about 700 now. Okay, so now I'm at about 500. So that's about 200 block wide, and then it's square, so it'll be 200 blocks deep too. And the height, I already know from this one that it's about 64, but the middle might be a bit taller, so I might make that 128. So in order to modify those boundaries, what you need to do is you need to place 2 structure blocks. And the top one, you want to adjust to have a size of 1 by 1 by 1. This will allow you to export the structure block below as a mixed structure, so then you can edit its properties. So now this structure block is encompassing just this structure block in its boundary. For this one, the only thing you need to change is make sure you change it from save to 3D export, because once you import it as a modified structure block, you won't be able to change that. So now you can see its shape, its texture changes from that cross to that kind of circle with the 3 lines. So now you just need to export this as a mix structure. So you keep it on the save mode, and you just have to give it a name. So I'm just going to name it 256 test, and then you can choose export, and you can just save that. Now, in order to edit the properties and make the boundary bigger, what you have to do is you have to use an application called NBT Studio. So the structure block encodes NBT data, and you have to edit that. So this is an application you have to download. I've got a link in the description. You just go to the GitHub site, you go to download link, and choose this link right here to download it. Once you have NBT Studio installed, you just go to File, Open File, Downloads, and then that mix structure that you exported that just contains that one structure block. Then you press Open. You go to, under the data for it, you go under Structure, Palette, Default, Block Position Data, 0, Block Entity Data, and then this will have the variables for the size of the boundary. So the ones you have to worry about, you can adjust the offset later if you want to, so you don't have to worry about that, but it's the size of the X, Y, and Z axes that you want to change. So I said that I was going to make it 256 by 256 wide and then 128 tall. So I'm going to make my X 256, my Y 128, and my Z 256. Okay, and now that's done. Now all I have to do is save this. So File, Save As. I'm going to save it as a new mix structure. I'll just change it from test to edited. And you can leave this as default. Okay, so now that's done, and all I have to do is import that edited structure block in place of this one. So I can delete this one, and now I can go back to here. I can now I choose load, and load will let me instead of export, it will let me import a mix structure. So I press import, I go to my edited mix structure, press import, and now I press load. And now when it opens up, you can see its boundary has been extended much further. I actually don't want to put it here though, because well, I could change the offset, but I think I'll put it in that corner over here, so then it will automatically be in the right place. So I'm just going to move those, go to this corner. I made it a bit larger than it had to be, so I'll just be approximately in the right place. And now I can just do, if you're in the A, you can just do fill, tilde, 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 tilde. That'll put the block exactly where you are, and then just do structure block. Now you go back to load. I can import it again. My edited mix structure, press load, and you can delete the top one now. And now you just have to open this in order to export it. When you right click on it though, it will probably take a while. It'll probably be frozen for a while. Okay, that was actually pretty quick. But depending on the power of your machine, it could take a while to load. And you also have to be careful not to make the export the range too large, or it could crash your computer too. So you can see here the size now has been adjusted beyond what the max limit was originally. And you can't edit these anymore, because if you edit them, it'll automatically reset it to 64. But you can change the offset. So like this looks a bit high up. If I want to make it lower, I can just change this, and it'll take a while to load again, but then it will update it. And you can see now it's encompassing the whole map. You can play around with that a bit more, but now there's some blocks here that are in the way, but you'd want to remove those, but I don't need to worry about that for now. And you can just press export again, and just like we did with the other one, you can save it as a GLB model. I'll just say whole map. Okay, now another thing I wanted to mention is you can also use texture packs, and when you use the structure block, it'll automatically export each block with the textures from your texture pack. So I'm just gonna go put on a texture pack as an example. Okay, so I just put on one of my favorite texture packs, and you can see this is what the map looks like now. And if I go back to that structure block, it will still show up in the preview, and I will be able to export it just like I did before, and it will automatically apply the texture pack. So you can see here, it's much brighter green, it has those textures, and if you export it, it will have that in the 3D model. Okay, I think that's all. That's how you use structure blocks to export structures from your Minecraft world to then use in other software.